Welcome back to Legion Builds, where we help you bring your favorite characters into games of Dungeons & Dragons. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel and check out our Patreon. Vote in weekly polls to help us decide video releases and receive character sheets of our builds. Today we are building the most chilled fighter on the Mortal Kombat roster, Kuei Liang, aka Sub-Zero. Kuei Liang is the second person to hold the title of Sub-Zero, and over the course of the games has evolved to be the second most popular character in the Mortal Kombat franchise. If you have no clue who he is, which I very much doubt, as Mortal Kombat is one of the most popular fighting games, Sub-Zero is the grandmaster of the Lin Kuei assassins and a Cryomancer, which is a fancy way of saying he's really cold all the time. For this build, we'll be looking into building a top-rate martial artist with the ability to freeze your opponents with everything you do. And I mean everything. I'm talking ice grenades, cold rays, and firm handshakes. You'll freeze them solid. So let's get started. We'll be using standard point array, and we are multi-classing. So if your group uses other character building systems, keep minimums in mind. Make Strength 8, Dex 15, Con 12, Intelligence 10, Wisdom 13, Charisma 14. You're pretty ripped in the games, but something had to be dumped and strength isn't required for this build. Cryomancers are the human descendants of outworld spellcasters, so we're going to be making you a variant human. Place +1 into Dex and +1 into Wisdom. For your feat, Gift of the Chromatic Dragon allows you to manifest the elemental powers of chromatic dragons in two ways. First, as a bonus action, you can touch one simple or martial weapon of your choice and infuse it with elemental power, adding an extra d4 of damage for 1 minute. Sub-Zero likes ice axes, so you can create ice axes now. You can only use this once per long rest though. This feat also lets you, as a reaction, grant yourself resistance to any elemental damage when you take said damage. So Scorpion's fire damage will lose some effectiveness. Unless Scorpion took Elemental Adept, then you're screwed. This resistance only counts towards the damage that you're reacting to, but you can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You gain back all uses after taking a long rest. For your skill, take Perception. For background, we just need the skills Persuasion and Survival. We're going to start off with Monk. Take Acrobatics and Stealth as you are a ninja. Level 1 monks get Unarmored Defense. This allows you to add both your Dex and Wisdom to your AC when you're not wearing armor. Right now, that means your AC is 15, and next level we're going to be getting something a little bit better. Martial Arts improves your unarmed strikes in multiple ways. Firstly, you can now use your Dex or Strength when making attacks with unarmed strikes or monk weapons, which are simple weapons that lack the two-handed or heavy properties. Next, it lets you use your martial arts dice when rolling for damage with your unarmed strikes or monk weapons. Right now that's a d4, but we will be upgrading that later. Finally, you can now make a bonus unarmed strike on top of your normal attacks. Okay, it's time for your Cryomancer powers. We're jumping over to Sorcerer. Level 1 Sorcerers receive a Sorceress Origin. Draconic Bloodline infuses you with the power of dragons. I think we're going with a theme here, so you can guess where we're going with Monk. Dragon Ancestor connects you to a particular dragon heritage that gives you bonuses later on. Go with silver or white to complement your ice abilities. You can also read and speak Draconic and get advantage on charisma checks against dragons. Draconic Resilience gives you the health of a dragon, kind of. Now whenever you gain a level in this class, you gain 1 additional hit point. You also now have a natural AC of 13 plus your Dex, meaning your AC is now 16. Now, if you max out your Wisdom and Dex, your unarmored defense will be a 20 versus just being able to max out your Dex for an 18. but we're not going to be maxing out your wisdom. Sorry, it's not a big deal for this. We need spellcasting ability and harder punches. You are also a spellcaster. Ray of Frost fires a frigid beam of pure cold towards a creature within 60 feet, causing 1d8 cold damage on a hit and reduces the speed by 10 till your next turn. This will eventually become 4d8 cold damage. Frostbite freezes the air around a target within 60 feet, forcing a con save. On a failure, the target takes 1d6 cold damage and has disadvantage on its next attack roll before the end of its next turn. This will also upgrade to 4d6. Ice Knife creates a shard of ice that you throw at a target within 60 feet. On a hit, the target takes 1d10 piercing damage, but regardless of the hit, the knife explodes, forcing a dex save on the target and anyone within 5 feet of the target, causing 2d6 cold damage. You can upgrade the cold damage by raising the spell level. Blade Ward gives you resistance against bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage dealt by weapon attacks for 1 turn. Sword Burst forces a dex save on everyone within 5 feet of you, causing 1d6 force damage on a failure, and will eventually upgrade to 4d6. Shield adds +5 to your AC for 1 turn as a reaction, and stops magic missile from hitting you. I know the last 3 spells aren't ice themed, but reflavor them to be icy and, it's cool. Level 2 monks get Ki. Ki is eternal energy you use to enhance yourself. Right now, you have 3 options to use your Ki points on, but we'll be getting more later on. Flurry of Blows allows you to make 2 unarmed strikes with a bonus action instead of 1. Step of the Wind lets you disengage or dash as a bonus action and doubles your jump distance. Patient Defense lets you take dodge as a bonus action. Unarmored Movement increases your movement speed while you're not wearing armor. Right now that's 10 feet, bringing it up to 40 feet. Level 3 monks get Deflect Missiles, which lets you reduce damage to ranged attacks you're hit with, and can allow you to catch the attack and yeet it back. When you're hit with a ranged weapon attack, you can use your reaction to reduce the damage by 1d10, plus your monk level, plus your dexterity modifier. And if it reduces to 0, you've caught it. You also gain your subclass. Way of the Ascendant Dragon empowers your physical attacks with the power of dragons. Told you we're going with a theme. Draconic Presence lets you turn a failed intimidation or persuasion roll into a success once per long rest. Draconic Strikes lets you change the damage type of your unarmored strikes into the damage type of a particular dragon, like cold damage. Tongue of Dragons gives you proficiency in Draconic, which you already have, so you get one of your choice. Breath of the Dragon lets you launch an elemental attack similar to a dragon's breath weapon. It can be a 20-foot cone or a 30-foot line, causing damage equal to 2 of your martial arts dice on a failed dex save. You can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus or by spending 2 Ki points between long rests. Level 2 sorcerers gain Font of Magic. Similar to Ki, you now have sorcery points that you can use multiple ways. Right now, you can only use your sorcery points to regain spell slots, no higher than 5th level, or burn spell slots to gain sorcery points. We'll get more uses next level, so it's not that important right now. You also get a new spell, and I don't want you to take any. Next level, we'll be getting 2 2nd level spells. Level 3 sorcerers get Meta Magic. These are special things that you can spend sorcery points on. Quicken Spell turns a spell that has a casting time of 1 action into a bonus action. Twin Spell allows you to target 2 creatures instead of 1 with a spell. Now for spells. Rhyme's Binding Ice unleashes a 30-foot cone of intense cold. Every creature in the cone must make a con save or take 3d8 cold damage and have their speed reduced to 0 as their feet are encased in ice. The creature can break free of the ice if they take an action to do so, or if someone else uses their action to pull them from it. Sinaloc's Snowball Storm unleashes a flurry of snowballs within 90 feet of you. Within the range, choose a spot and everyone within a 5-foot radius sphere on that point must make a dex save, causing 3d6 cold damage on a failure. Level 4 monks get our first ability score improvement. Let's put this into Charisma and bring up your spell DC and attack bonus. Slowfall allows you to reduce falling damage by 5 times your monk level. Quickened Healing allows you to spend a key point to heal yourself by 1 martial arts dice, plus your proficiency bonus. Level 5 monks get extra attack. You can now attack twice with a single attack action. Stunning Strike lets you force a con save on a creature you strike with a melee weapon, spending 1 key point and stunning them on a failure until the end of your next turn. Focus Aim lets you spend 1 to 3 key points to add +2 for each point to a missed attack roll. Your martial arts dice are now a d6. Level 6 monks receive Key Empowered Strikes, making your unarmed strikes magical. Wings Unfurled grant you a flying speed whenever you use Step of the Wind. You can use this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Now, I know this isn't very Sub-Zero-like, but in the cartoons, he's shown to make ice bridges like Iceman, so, do that and it just dissolves after using it. Your movement is now 45 feet. Level 4 sorcerers give us another ability score improvement. This time, let's put this into Dex for better AC and attack damage. For spells, Chill Touch lets you make a ranged attack within 120 feet, causing 2d8 necrotic damage, and the target can't regain hit points until the start of your next turn. If the target is undead, it has disadvantage on the attack rolls until the end of your next turn, and this will eventually be upgraded to a 4d8 necrotic damage. Now I know, not cold again, but chill's in its name, and you know what? Say you give them frostbite. That's kind of skin dying, so necrotic. Dragon's Breath grants you a Dragon's Breath weapon. Everyone within a 15-foot cone must make a dex save or take 3d6 cold damage. Now you already have a Dragon's Breath weapon from Breath of the Dragon, so let's talk about differences. Breath of the Dragon has better range, but Dragon's Breath does more damage and is a concentration spell, so it lasts for 1 minute. Or you can even pass it on to someone else. You can use this as a group attack or switch between them depending on if you want to spend key points or a spell slot. Level 5 sorcerers gain magical guidance. When you fail a skill check, you can now spend sorcery points to re-roll the d20. For your new spell, Sleet Storm creates a 20-foot tall, 40-foot radius cylinder within 120 feet. Within the cylinder is a raging sleet storm, covering the area in slick ice, turning the terrain into difficult and causing everyone inside or who enters the cylinder to fall prone on a failed dex save. It can also disrupt spellcasters' concentration. Level 6 sorcerers gain Elemental Affinity. Now when you cast spells that cause damage connected to your draconic ancestry, you get to add your Charisma modifier to the damage. Now this works on your spells only, not cold damage caused from your monk class or your feat. You can also spend a sorcery point to gain resistance to cold damage for 1 hour. You also get another spell, but we're going to hold off for 1 more level. Level 7 sorcerers gain 4th level spell slots. Ice Storm is similar to Sleet Storm, but causes damage instead of slipping, and it's not concentration like Sleet Storm. Within 300 feet, you create a 20-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder. The terrain inside is difficult, and any creature that is in it or enters it must make a dex save or take 2d8 bludgeoning damage and 4d6 cold damage. Fireshield is a weird spell that does one of 2 things, one of which is very Sub-Zero while the other is very Scorpion. If you watched my Scorpion video, you know this spell. For 10 minutes, your body is wreathed in flames or maybe wisps of cold air. That can be a chill shield or a warm shield. For this build, screw the warm shield, we're only going to talk about chill. While your chill shield is up, you have resistance to fire damage, and any creature that hits you with a melee attack that is within 5 feet will take 2d8 cold damage. And best part, it's not concentration. Level 8 sorcerers gain another ability score improvement. Bump up your charisma for better spell DC, better spell attack, and better spell damage. Hold Person lets you target one humanoid within 60 feet, forcing a wisdom save, or they become paralyzed for 1 minute. Now this only works on humanoids, not monsters or anything else. And this is a concentration spell, and the humanoid can attempt to break free at the end of each of its turns. Level 9 sorcerers gain access to 5th level spells, and it's time for the real cold power. Cone of Cold releases a 60-foot cone of intense cold air. Each creature within must make a con save or take 8d8 cold damage, and any creature that dies is frozen solid. You can add d8s by upping the spell level. Level 10 sorcerers get a new meta magic option. Heightened Spell lets you spend 3 sorcery points to give one target disadvantage on a saving throw from your spell. You also gain 2 new spells. We're only going to take one because next level we can get 2 really good spells that we need. Light lets you imbue one object you touch with the ability to generate light for 1 hour. Level 11 sorcerers get access to 6 level spells, and here's where we get some really good ones. Investiture of Ice covers your body in ice armor and grants you several abilities. You are now immune to cold damage, resistant to fire damage, difficult terrain created by ice or snow does not hinder you, terrain within 10-foot radius of you becomes difficult terrain for everyone but you, and you can also use your action to create a small cone of cold attack. This is a 15-foot cone of freezing air, and each creature within the cone must make a con save or take 4d6 cold damage and have its speed half until the start of your next turn. Now this is concentration and it lasts for 10 minutes. Odaluk's freezing sphere creates a cold globe of pure ice that fires out within a range of 300 feet, exploding within a point that you designate into a 60-foot radius sphere. Any creature within the sphere must make a con save or take 10d6 cold damage. It automatically freezes water to a depth of 6 inches over an area of 30 feet, and this can trap anything within the water, forcing a strength save to break free. You can also create the orb, turning it into an ice grenade. It can be thrown, launched from a sling, or sat down and will explode after 1 minute if it remains unbroken. Level 12 sorcerers get another ability score improvement, so let's cap off charisma. You get 1 more spell, but we're out of cold spells, so this one is up to you. Monks gain stillness of mind, allowing you to end 1 effect on yourself that is causing you to be charmed or frightened. Evasion improves your dex saves. Now you take no damage on a success and only half on a failure. Level 8 Monks is our final ability score improvement and our final level. Cap off your dex for an AC of 18 and 5+ to attacks and damage. Alright, time to dive in and see how this build holds up. Firstly, you are a walking, breathing ice storm. With over a dozen different ice-based attacks, 3 of which are not spells, you will freeze your enemies to the core. Literally. Your melee attacks are magical and cold-based, so even total resistance and immunity to bludgeoning damage, regardless of magic or not, are worthless against you. You're adding 5+ to your spell attacks, 5+ to your unarmed strikes, you're making 4 attacks with Flurry of Blows, and you can turn spells into bonus actions, allowing you to still carry out attacks. Your AC is 18 and you're adding 12 to your total health overall. You can also gain resistances to both cold and fire multiple ways. Downside, I'm not going to calculate your health because you're only adding a +1 modifier and sorcerers do not have a good hit dice. At least you can heal yourself with key points. And speaking of which, you only have 12 sorcery points and 8 key points. So you can run the risk of burning through in heavy combat. You can, of course, burn spell slots for more points, but you can also burn points for more spell slots. You'd have better health and more combat capabilities if you placed more levels in Monk, but you would lose all of your powerful ice spells. In the end, you are a combat caster. You unleash devastating ice attacks at range or up close, making you scary as hell. Mow through the weaker enemies, control the battlefield, and unleash frozen hell. Thank you for joining us, and remember to leave a like and subscribe. We release a new video every Monday, and over on Patreon we have weekly polls to decide our next builds.